Hello everyone, live again. In this one we're going to be talking about the real reason why the narcissist can't stand you. Because it always seems as though they're devaluing you, they're blaming and punishing you for these proposed issues, as though there's always something wrong. There's always something that you need to fix. There's always another hoop that you need to jump through. There's always something else that you need to do. A narcissist could give you a list of 10 things that you need to do. You could do all of those things, and then they'll just try and find something wrong with the things that you have done. They will always try and find something wrong. They can never be happy. They can never be satisfied. And I know for many of you, you're stuck in these relationships, in these situations, and you're just wondering, what have I got to do to make this person happy? I mean, clearly they have a problem. Clearly they're not happy about something. So what is it that you have to do? How are you meant to please this unpleasable person? And that's just it. They are unpleasable. Because what many of you may not realize is that these problems that they're making out to be about you, these things that they're saying are wrong with you, are things they don't even care about. They don't even care about it. They haven't got a problem with any of these supposed problems. And that's how those of you, if you somehow have managed to fix certain problems that they have proposed to you, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Because even if you do fix the problem, many times they will just persist in their denial. They will continue gaslighting themselves. They won't even be able to see, even if the problem is fixed. They're not even going to be aware of it. Because their brains are just attuned to seeing something wrong. They're not looking for anything to be right. So even if something is right, even if something is exactly the way that they want it to be, that's still going to be wrong to them. They're still going to want to change it. They're still going to want it to be something more. Because the issue is not with anything outside of them. It's more to do with what's going on in their own minds. That they are projecting onto you and trying to get you to agree and identify with them. And it's not because they actually care about or because they're bothered by these supposed problems, but because it serves their need for control, dominance, and emotional supply. So these problems that they claim to see in you are actually just tools of manipulation, rather than genuine grievances, rather than something where they actually feel a sense of loss or of injustice, as though something has happened to them or as though something has been taken away from them. They don't even care about that. It's more just to manipulate your emotions. It's to deflect and project their own insecurities and flaws onto you, to where they may accuse you of being selfish, lazy, or unloving, no matter how much you do or give to them, no matter how active you are throughout the day, every day. No matter how much you try to love them and care about them, no matter how much you do for them, they will still accuse you of being selfish, lazy, or unloving, when those are in fact traits that they themselves exhibit. So they're seeing a problem in you, but they can't see that same problem in themselves, because they lack self-awareness. They're projecting their own insecurities and flaws onto you and trying to get you to identify with it. They disown the parts of themselves that they don't like and assign them to you. And it also acts as a form of control through criticizing you, because by manufacturing or exaggerating flaws in you, they can then destabilize your self-esteem, which makes it easier for them to control you, and it makes you more dependent on their approval. And also it creates chaos. Narcissists thrive in environments where they can maintain the upper hand, where they can constantly shift the focus onto your perceived problems, because by doing that, they can then divert attention away from their own behavior and keep you on edge. It also allows them to manipulate the narrative. By blaming you, the victim, it allows them to paint themselves as this long-suffering partner, which can then garner sympathy from other people and reinforce their own self-image as good. So it really doesn't make any difference what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how you act, how you behave. It doesn't matter if you fix everything. It doesn't matter if you change the entire world. It doesn't make a difference, because their accusations have very little to do with your actual behavior. It's got much more to do with their desire to maintain control and to avoid accountability. And when you recognize this pattern of behavior, it is then a step forward for you to then break free from their manipulation. Because even if you do correct everything that they said was wrong, and I mean, let's say you have the time, you have the energy, you have the resources to quite literally correct everything. And I mean everything. Let's say you change the entire world. Let's take it to extremes. Let's say you really change everything for the narcissist. Everything they want, everything they desire, you do it, you accomplish it. When you do that, when you correct everything that they claim is wrong, guess what? They will still remain unhappy. Or they will even escalate their criticism. They might get even worse, because their accusations were never about a specific issue to begin with. So it does not matter what you do or how much you do. And yes, in fact, that may just make it even worse. Because what happens if you are that grade A source of supply and you do everything for them, you fix everything, they're just going to shift the goalposts. They will just change the rules. Or they will find new problems to criticize, because there's always something that they can criticize. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. So this ensures that you will always be off balance and you'll be striving to meet their unattainable expectations. And in fact, when you do, and this is why many of them are covert, because they do not want you to address the criticism. They want to be passive aggressive. They want to give you the silent treatment. They want to cause all sorts of chaos and problems for you. But they don't want you to actually address the criticism. Because if you were to do that, they would feel threatened. They would feel like their sense of control is being diminished. Because they don't actually want you to fix the problems. This is why they will try and find things that are not fixable. Things that you can't immediately resolve. And they will poke at you for that. Because it has nothing actually to do with the issues. It's more just for them to gain a sense of control by projecting their own insecurities onto you. So even if you do manage to address their criticism, they're just going to react by finding new flaws. They're going to find something else to be wrong so that they can regain dominance. And potentially in more extreme situations, I mean, those of you who are really high caliber, grade A sources of supply, those of you who are very hardworking, disciplined, successful, I mean, let's say you really go above and beyond, you really go over the top for this narcissist. You pull out all the stops, you do everything you possibly can to make them happy. And let's say they shift the goalposts. They find new flaws. You correct that. You correct that. You correct everything. And in some extreme cases, it could get to a point where it's like the narcissist is now living in a palace. But it's like their fantasies have come to life. It's just this image of perfection. Everything is exactly the way that they want it. And I mean everything. As an example, and this can happen in real life for some people. The narcissist could be living in a palace. They could have a private jet where they can just fly around the world whenever they want to. They can go to any country they like, stay in any place they like, drive any car they want, just have whatever they want, do whatever they want. What happens in that situation where it's like they're with such a powerful and successful person, where it doesn't matter even if they move the goalposts, even if they find new flaws, it's like this high caliber source of supply. Just a click of their fingers, they can just sort it out. Like a genie, with unlimited wishes. What happens in those situations is that the narcissist will then begin to sabotage everything. Yes, in extreme cases where everything is exactly the way they want it to be, they will just become self-sabotaging. Because they can't ever feel comfortable. Everything can't just be perfect. Because they are never at rest in their own minds. And this is the core of the issue, is that the better everything is on the outside, the more that everything is organized, everything exactly the way they want it to be. Like let's say the house is clean, the car is clean, everything is in its place. The children are taken care of, there's nothing to worry about, nothing to complain about. That is when they will begin to expose themselves more than ever before. Is when everything is perfect. Because otherwise they can disguise their disorder. They could just point the finger at someone or something else. It's so easy for them to blame something outside of them, when maybe there actually are things that are wrong. Even though it may not be a big deal, they can still point out something wrong. They can still find things. There's always going to be problems in life. But then in these more extreme situations, where you do go all out and make everything to be exactly the way they want it to be, you bring their fantasies to life, you meet their practically impossible and unrealistic expectations, that's when you really begin to see what you're dealing with. Because the better you make it for them, the worse they get. The more that they don't have any problems outside of them, the more that it just begins to amplify the chaos, the disorder of their minds. Because what relieves it, what regulates it, is when they can project onto something else outside of them. So that's just it. What are they supposed to do when everything is perfect? When everything is exactly the way they want it to be? They can only go inwards. They have to accept that this is their problem. But then they don't want to accept it, so then they sabotage everything. They have to sabotage everything because everything's perfect. Because there is no problem outside of them, so they have to create a problem. And if it does get to this point, if they do sabotage you, those of you who have experienced sabotage by a narcissist, you must have been a really potent source of supply. You must have been at such a high level to the point where they couldn't find any problems anymore. They couldn't find anything to blame, so they just imploded. And then they just had to become destructive. Because there is actually no problem outside of them. There is no problem with you. And of course, none of us are perfect. We all have flaws. But if it's to the point where they can't even find any flaws with you, they will create a flaw. They will create a problem. They might just start damaging your property. They might just physically attack you, so that you then have bruises. And then they don't have to feel like you're perfect. They might just smash up your new car, destroy your possessions in your home. They do that because everything just feels so perfect. Everything just seems so polished, shiny, and new. And this is the case for anyone, really. I mean, to some degree, I mean, of course, and this is why anxiety and depression are the two most common illnesses in the world, because a lot of people spend so much time scrolling on social media and viewing other people's what seems to be their ideal lives. But to narcissists, it's to more of an extreme, where their jealousy and insecurity will cause them to harm you or to damage your property. They will try to sabotage you because they need to have a problem. They envy you. They want to be you, and if they can't be you, they will try to destroy you. As I always like to mention, it's like two children and one child has a toy. The other child wants the toy, but they can't get it, so then they destroy it, so that they don't have to see the other child's satisfaction with that toy. Because your happiness, your fulfillment, your self-satisfaction reminds them that something is wrong with them. Because then to them it's like, Well, you're happy, you're comfortable. So why aren't they? And this is what creates a real problem for them. Because what this comes down to really is that many narcissists are depressed. They experience deep-seated unhappiness. And this has nothing to do with your actions. It's in their own unresolved insecurities and emotional void. So even if you meet their demands perfectly, they will still remain unsatisfied because the issue lies within them. So it's not a problem that you can fix. Even if there was a perfect person walking the earth, they wouldn't be good enough for the narcissist. The narcissist would find a problem with them. Or they'd have to find a problem with something or someone else. There'd have to be some problem somewhere. It could never be that everything is just in harmony and agreement. There has to be a problem. There has to be someone to blame. There has to be a scapegoat. And in fact, they don't like it when you try to correct these problems. They see it as an act of rebellion or defiance, as though you are developing your own autonomy or independence, which they interpret as a threat. And then it then triggers their shame and insecurities. When you're correcting problems, it reminds them that the problem is actually with them. Because then it's like, all right, you've corrected the problem, you're better now. So why are they still miserable? Why are they happy? And that's why when you do try to correct problems, they may then retaliate by escalating criticism, withdrawing affection, or by creating new conflicts to reassert their dominance. And for Theyre, it just feels like a never-ending cycle of trying to please someone who cannot be pleased, no matter what you do. And this can really affect your self-esteem. It can leave you feeling like there must be something wrong with you. And this is why you need to recognize that their dissatisfaction is not about you. And then disengage from the need to fix or satisfy the narcissist. Because by doing that, you are taking a critical step towards your emotional freedom. But many of you, if you've already tried to solve the problem, you will have realized the real problem. That there was never a problem to begin with. Because in fact, the narcissist needs there to be a problem in order to extract supply, control, validation, and a sense of superiority. So when you solve the supposed problem, they then come to a profound realization. You then come to a profound realization that the problem was never real. You realize that it was created, exaggerated by the narcissist as a means to extract narcissistic supply. Because the true problem lies in the narcissist's need for conflict, drama, and control. They have to create chaos in external environments because of the disorder in their minds. So they manufacture problems. They fabricate or magnify issues, not because they want them resolved, but because those issues serve as tools to maintain power over the victim. And these problems then give the narcissist an excuse to criticize, dominate, and manipulate. So there will always be this constant presence of a problem, which keeps you in a state of self-doubt to where you're always seeking their approval, which is exactly how they want it to be because it feeds their need for control, validation, and superiority. The conflict is a source of energy. Narcissists thrive in emotional chaos. So by keeping problems alive, they ensure a steady stream of emotional energy from you. Whether this is through arguments, apologies, or your attempts to appease them. They feel a sense of superiority through criticizing you. Through pointing out your flaws, whether they're real or imagined, it reinforces their own sense of superiority. Which is why if you do solve one issue, the narcissist will just find another to maintain their position of power. And they will create new issues to avoid accountability. Because by them creating new problems, it shifts the attention away from their behavior, which ensures that they never have to face their own flaws or take responsibility. So creating problems is a tool for narcissists to keep them unaware of themselves and to continue projecting their flaws onto you. The reality is that no amount of fixing, pleasing, or changing will ever satisfy the narcissist. And I can tell you that right now. And I've been saying this for years. It's never going to happen. You're never going to fix all of the problems for them, because the problem is not in the external environment, it exists in their minds. So you're never going to please them, and you can change everything about yourself. You can change the entire world. It's not going to make a difference, because you're not the problem. So you can change yourself as much as you like. You can change everything about yourself. You can change every cell in your body. And in fact, every cell in our body does regenerate every 3 years. But yeah, you can change everything about yourself. You can do everything for them. Do whatever they want you to do. You can change everything. You can change your mind, your feelings, your behaviors, your appearance, everything about you, everything, the person that you are. It doesn't make a difference because it's got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with the person that you are. And that's why when you're around them, you just find that you're losing yourself. Because they don't even care about you. They only care about themselves. It's got nothing to do with you. Your person, your character, your personality, none of that matters. They just want you to think that it does because it validates them. It gives them supply. It makes them feel superior to you because they envy you. The only way that you're a problem is that you're just too good. You're better than them. And really look at it. Analyze your values, your morals, your principles, your hard work, your success, all of the things that you've been doing for them. You should come to the conclusion that you're a million times better a person than they are. So it's not that there's a problem with you. It's not that there's a problem with the person that you are, your appearance, your behaviors, your personality. It's nothing to do with you as a person. You can change all of that. It's not going to make a difference. Because the problem is in their minds. It's in their brains. It's a fantasy. And it's a fantasy that they need so that they can feel in control. So that they can feel validated, superior. To regulate their own emotions, their insecurities. And so that they don't ever have to be self-aware. Because if they had to be self-aware, it would be a lot of work for them. They would have to do the inner work. They would have to make amends with you. They would have to correct a lot of things, and that's just it, because if they were to do that, maybe many of you wouldn't accept them. So essentially, they don't ever want to become self-aware, and they project their insecurities onto you because they fear rejection. They fear abandonment and exposure. They don't want you to reject them. And they know that if they were self-aware, if they were to own their own insecurities, if they were to own the things that they have done to you, you would just reject them. Because then you've got it then. You've got it, what you're chasing. You've got that validation. You realise then, once the truth is exposed, you realise all along you were a far better person than they were for you. So what it really comes down to is that they fear rejection. They fear you rejecting them. And that's why they manufacture these problems. That's why they've always got a problem with you. Because they know that there's a problem with them. They know that they don't deserve you. They know they're not good enough for you. So it's the rejection that they fear at the core of it all. Because they only targeted you out of envy. They wanted to take from you. They saw you as being beneficial for them, but they knew that they weren't any good for you. And this is why they seek power and control, validation, a position of authority, superiority. It's because they're terrified of being rejected by you, by the source that they need, the source that supplies those things to them. It's because they're terrified of rejection. And this is why they treat you the way that they do. Because think about it, if they wanted you to solve all of these problems, they would likely be more supportive, encouraging, rather than being negative or destructive. They would want you to exercise, rest, get plenty of sleep, have a good diet, live a life of abundance, and have healthy relationships. Then you could fix everything for them. Or at least you could fix a lot more than what you're able to do now, when they're not encouraging or supportive and they're weighing you down. So this is why they don't want you to solve the problem. This is why they're not supportive. This is why they are negative. So that you don't figure out that you're just a far better person than them. And that's why they withhold love. They withhold validation, recognition, acknowledgement. Because they don't want you to know. Because they're insecure. Because they're terrified of rejection. Because they know they don't deserve you. And you deserve better than them. Because that's just it. I mean, if someone is secure, if they're confident in themselves, rather than being so jealous, possessive, and controlling, they're going to compliment you. They're going to acknowledge your successes. They're going to support and encourage the person that you are. And they're going to want you to be better. They're not going to demoralize you and degrade you. They're not going to want you to be worse. Narcissists do. They want you to be worse so that they've got that control. And it's kind of like peer pressure, where like a group of friends, it's like they want everyone to get drunk or to use drugs for that control and to keep them in the group. And it's the same thing with a narcissist, because they know if they're supportive, if they're encouraging of you, and if you get the things that you need, if you're more disciplined and you get plenty of sleep, you have good food, what are you going to need them for? If they're encouraging and supporting you, I mean, you can probably support yourself better, because they can't even support themselves. If they could, then they would be doing that. They would be more self-aware. They would be aware of themselves. They wouldn't be projecting their issues onto you. They would be taking accountability, just as you do, just as you take accountability not only for yourself, but often for the things that they do as well. Now that's the sign of someone who wants to grow, someone who wants to change, someone who wants to be better. And then it gets to a point where you're even taking accountability for them. And, it's good that you desire to be better, you desire to be the best person that you can be. It's just you're doing it for the wrong person. You're trying to be the best person that you can be for someone who's never going to be good enough for you. Be that person for someone else who deserves you. Because they do not want you to be better. They do not want you to improve or to fix the problems, because you're just going to be leaving them behind. Then they're going to lose you. They're going to lose their supply. If they genuinely wanted you to improve or fix anything, their behavior would reflect that. True support involves encouragement, kindness, and constructive actions. But none of that aligns with the narcissist's manipulative and destructive tactics. The narcissist is deliberately keeping you in a state of dependence, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. And they're doing it deliberately. They're sabotaging you for control because they fear losing you. They fear the rejection, abandonment, and exposure. They know that if you become stronger, happier, and more independent, they are going to risk losing you as their emotional supply. They're not going to get those emotional reactions out of you anymore, because then you're no longer dependent on them. So they have to keep you in a state of scarcity in order to keep you bonded to them. Because if you've got all of these other things going on, if you're healthy, you're happy, confident, living a life of abundance, well, what are you going to care about them for? It's only when they target your self-esteem, and that's one of the main issues, is the self-esteem. That's what keeps you tied to them. That's what keeps you thinking that that's what you deserve. Because this all comes down to what you think you deserve. Do you think you deserve less, or do you think you deserve more? So it all comes down to what you think you deserve. It's a reflection of your own self-esteem, which they're constantly targeting. And, of course, when they sabotage things in your life, if they're controlling you with food, with sleep, your energy, they're targeting your confidence, your happiness, all of these things are depleting you and causing you to become desperate for any validation. It's causing you to become dependent, to where you will settle for anything, any crumbs that they give to you. And that's exactly the type of position that they want to keep you in, because they like it. They act like it's a problem. It's not a problem for them at all. That's exactly how they want it to be. Because that's where they're at. They're toxic. They're abusive. They have all of these issues. They're mentally ill. This is what a mental illness is. This is what mentally ill people do. And they do it because they fear abandonment. They fear being left behind. Because the reality is, of course, if you start living a healthy, empowered life, you're not going to need the narcissist anymore. Because they're not good enough for you. They targeted you because they envied you, because they wanted to take from you. So by keeping you down, it ensures that your continued reliance on the narcissist. And they know exactly what they're doing when they're doing this. This is why they're so insecure. This is why they're so full of shame. This is why they're terrified of rejection, because they know that they're doing it deliberately. They know that they are the problem. They know that they are the issue. They know that there's something seriously wrong with them. And this is why they devalue you. They devalue you to erode your self-esteem so that these problems persist. They continue. They get worse. Because when you doubt your worth, you become easier to manipulate. As the old saying goes, a desperate man will clutch at a straw, or will reach for anything. So that's the state when they want to keep you in, to where you just feel like you will settle for anything that they give to you. And you fear that you can't make it on your own, so then you're less likely to leave. While if they were to encourage you to thrive, that would conflict with their goal of keeping you dependent. They do this because they envy you. They envy your potential and happiness. They're very resentful. In their minds, it's unfair because they're very arrogant and entitled. They have this sense of superiority over you. So they don't want to celebrate your success. They feel threatened by it. But by sabotaging your progress, it allows them to feel superior and to maintain control. It allows them to maintain the cycle of supply by keeping you in a state of stress, fatigue, or chaos. It ensures a constant flow of emotional supply. Your emotions, your reactions. When you're preoccupied with trying to fix things, which often leaves you with very little energy, especially by the end of the day if you're an empath. Very little energy to recognize the manipulation or to break free. It's a very toxic and unhealthy relationship with a mentally ill person who, at the very least, has narcissistic traits or may potentially have narcissistic personality disorder. Because a healthy relationship is characterized by mutual respect, encouragement, and support for each other's growth. While with a narcissist, it revolves around control, manipulation, and suppression of your independence. If you're finding this video helpful so far, give it a thumbs up for me. Thank you. So really, it is all about themselves. They don't care about you. They don't care about how their actions affect you. They don't care about anyone else. They don't care about how their actions affect anyone else. They don't care if they're bringing you down. They don't care if they're bringing everyone down with them. As long as they don't have to feel like they're going down on their own. Now that's one thing a narcissist is never going to do. They're not going to go down on their own. They're not going to see everyone else staying afloat while they're drowning. But if they were to do that, that would be the beginning of their recovery. However, that is extremely difficult for any person to do. It's to drown on their own and then to find their way back up. To recover from something like this. So the reality is that they are not just going to go down. They're not going to drown on their own. They're not just going to be the captain of their own ship and go down with the ship when it sinks. They're going to try and take everyone else down with them. That's what narcissists do. That's what they do. And it's not going to be something where it's like, they just need a bit of help. They need a bit of support. No. You can reach out your hand. You can try and lift them up. They're going to pull you right down with them. Because they can't come up. They haven't got the strength. And no matter how much you try and help them up, they're not going to come up. They want to stay there. They want to stay down. And they want to stay down because they want everything to revolve around their needs, desires, and emotions. They want people to serve them. They don't want to be a grown adult to take care of themselves. They want people to supply them. And there's no incentive for them to change because they lack the empathy required to genuinely care about how their actions affect people, including the people closest to them. And in my experience, the people closest to them more than anyone else. So they do not care about people's physical, emotional, or even financial health. It's irrelevant to them, unless it directly impacts their ability to get what they want. They do not care about the harm that they cause to people because they have a lack of empathy, a self-centered focus. They thrive in chaos. They deliberately create or perpetuate drama and dysfunction because it keeps them at the center of attention and control. So they do not even consider the collateral damage because chaos serves their need for power and validation. And when things go wrong, they rarely see themselves as the problem. They project the blame onto other people. They absolve themselves of accountability for the harm they cause. And that's why they typically show an indifference to consequences. Whether they're bringing you down emotionally, ruining relationships, or creating toxic environments, they don't care about the consequences because they're focused on their immediate gratification. They're not thinking about how it's going to impact you or other people. And this is the key part of the disorder, is that even if they do notice the impact, even if they can identify, hold on a minute, this is going to affect them, this is going to harm them, the way that they bypass that is that they rationalize it, or they just dismiss it entirely. They just push it out of their minds. And they put themselves first, they put themselves at the forefront, their immediate gratification above everything else. Above your feelings, your emotions, your pain, your distress, because they just don't care about anyone other than themselves. And even then, they don't even care about themselves because it's not helping them. It's just worsening their own disorder. It's just about supply. So that's what they're more focused on. They're not actually going to do the work to improve the real person underneath. They will bring people down, seek immediate gratification because it's all about the false self. It's all about in the moment. Never mind about what happens later. Never mind about the future. And this is especially the case with people with ASPD. Sociopaths and psychopaths, they are not thinking about the future. It's the lack of empathy, the justification, the rationalization, and then it's the inability to see how this is going to impact the future, how it might affect themselves in the future, but then they're not going to care about how it affects you in the future because they lack empathy anyway. But yeah, they will bring everyone down because they have a fear of losing control. And that's why they will actively sabotage your progress, independence, or happiness. Because they want to ensure that you remain trapped and reliant on them to reinforce their dominance. All they care about is maintaining power, protecting their ego, and receiving validation. The effects on other people are not something they often think about. It's not something that they care about. And when you realize this, you realize you're just falling into a trap by trying to fix things, or by trying to appeal to their nature. Because nothing's ever going to get better with them. Nothing's ever going to improve. They don't want things to improve. They want to maintain that control, that power. They want to protect their ego. They want to receive validation. And this all goes back to their childhood. Their emotional needs were not fulfilled in childhood. So their behavior is a response to unmet emotional needs in childhood. The manipulation, the control, and the manufacturing of problems, all of this stems from deep-seated insecurities and unresolved wounds. So they had unmet childhood needs, which then developed into an emotional survival mechanism. They created a false self, a grandiose, inflated image of themselves, to shield against their vulnerability. Problem is, it requires constant reinforcement through external validation, to where they have a dependency on external validation because they cannot self-soothe or feel secure from within. So they rely on other people for a sense of worth, and by manufacturing chaos and problems, they then ensure the attention, drama, and control that they need to feel significant. And they also create problems to avoid vulnerability. It serves as a distraction from their own unresolved pain, because they're too afraid to face their deep-seated feelings of inadequacy or fear of abandonment. So they project these issues onto you, create conflict to deflect from their own inner. It also allows them to maintain a position of control or dominance. By keeping you off balance or dependent on them, they then feel superior and in control of their environment, which then compensates for their own internal feelings of powerlessness. And there's really nothing that you can do to help them because they have an inability to connect emotionally. Their emotional development was stunted during childhood, which is why they now struggle to form genuine healthy connections. They can only replicate the dynamics that they experienced as a child, to where they will keep relationships transactional and manipulative rather than mutual and supportive. So this is why they do what they do. Their behavior is rooted in pain. But despite that, they do have a choice. It is still a choice at the end of the day. They don't have to choose to respond to their pain in that way, to where they are then harming you. They don't have to choose that, but this is what they do. This is how they choose to respond. And there is nothing that you can do to fix them, to help them. There is nothing that you can do. Because the problem exists in their minds. So you can correct what they said is wrong. They will shift the goalposts. They will create new problems. So if you fix everything, they will just sabotage it all. And they will punish you for your independence because of their deep-seated unhappiness. Well, as for you, while you're busy fixing everything, you're going to be dealing with a lot of problems. You're going to be going through hell. You're going to be dealing with all sorts of chaos, and they're not going to be fixing anything for you. So what's going to happen is you're going to be doing everything for them. They're going to be living an easy, comfortable life, and you're going to be going through it. You're going to be going through it all. Because that's just how it is. These people who have these problems, they need a caretaker. They need someone to take care of them. And of course, because you're able to take good care of yourself, you're able to take good care of them. Don't ever make things for them. They're always going to have a problem because of their mental health. That's really the core of the issue, is what's going on in their minds. There's so much chaos, disorder, and dysfunction in their minds, and they have to project it outwards. And this is why the better you try to be for them, the more of a problem they're going to create for you. The more of a problem they're going to have with you. The better you are for them, the worse they're going to be for you. And in fact, what you may find and what you may remember is that you may have had the best treatment from the narcissist when you weren't doing anything for them. When you couldn't care less about them. When you weren't really even invested into them. That's when you had the best treatment. Because then it was easy for them to just say that you were a problem. To say that you're not doing anything for them. So, in many ways, they actually like that about you. At the beginning, when you're not fully invested. They prefer it that way. I mean, in some ways, yes, they want supply. They want someone to be all in, doing everything for them. But that then becomes a problem because they're meant to be happy. They're meant to be satisfied with that. And yet they can't be because they have a mental illness. They have emotional problems. So this is why you may find that the less you do, the better that they will be. Because then they haven't got to go above and beyond. They haven't got to put in the work to find things wrong with you or to create problems. If they feel like it's just, you're just already a problem. So that's how they prefer it to be. Because what you will find is that when you are a good person for them, then they're putting in work to find problems, to create problems. They're constantly nitpicking and fault finding. They're looking for something to be wrong. And it's because it's a projection of their own insecurities, of how they feel about themselves. So it doesn't matter what you do. You can't fix everything. You can't help them. It's not your problem to fix. And that's why if you fix everything, they will sabotage you. It will get a lot worse for you the more successful that you try to be with them. And this is why I say, I mean, the people who have these long-term relationships, marriages with a narcissist, they're the ones who get the worst treatment. And then you look at the narcissist friends who don't see them that often. Or maybe if the narcissist has someone on the side, if a side chick, they all seem to get better treatment. And they're not doing anything for the narcissist. It's because they don't make the narcissist feel insecure. It's because there's already so many things wrong with those people. So the narcissist aligns better with them because they all share the same issues. But they don't see that in you. How's everyone doing in the live chat? You all doing okay? I just thought about this topic today and I thought it'd be a good video. Because this is like the big thing with narcissists, is that they always make it out like there's some problem. There's always something that you have to do. There's always something that you have to fix. You always have to be better in some sort of way. But it's like no matter what you do, it never resolves anything. And you can change everything about yourself, everything that's meant to be wrong. You can try and change it. You can change your appearance, your behaviors, your personality. You can try to move in a healthier direction if that's what it seems they've set forth for you, or that they want for you, that they want you to align with. And then they just create some other problems, or they try to pull you back. They're trying to pull you back to who you were before, to what they were initially blaming you about. It's like first they want you to do this, do that, be independent. And then it's like, no, now your independence threatens their control and their sense of superiority and the validation. So you can never win with narcissists. You can't fix their problems. It's their problem, not yours. Thank you, Canadian Math Dude. Happy holidays to you as well. Hayden Harpazo. It is afternoon here, 3 p.m. in the Philippines. Mai Cherie Anolani asks, where is Narc Survivor from? I am from Wales in the United Kingdom. But at the moment, I'm currently traveling in the Philippines. Thanks for the donation, Harold Magnus Madsen. But you know, this is why they're pulling you in different directions all over the place, getting you to do all sorts of different things, pulling you outside of your personality, just because they can't be satisfied, they can't be happy. And also because they can't feel any peace, they can't feel at rest. When you're being yourself, when you're confident, when you're doing things for them, they know that they should be happy with that. They know that it should be good enough. But then if it was to be good enough, then it's like, what are they doing for you? Why do they deserve anything from you? And then they feel rejection, they feel shame, they feel inadequate. So it ends up where it's like they're just constantly pulling you in different directions, making you be this, be that, comparing you to other people, asking you why can't you be more like their friend? And it's like, 1 minute you're too loud, then you're too quiet, then you're too tall, you're too short, you're too thin, you're too fat. Then you're always outside of the house. Then you're always at home. And it's just a constant double bind. There is no winning. And it's all because they're wrestling with the fact inside their heads that they just can't be happy. They just can't be happy, not just with you, but with anyone who does get close enough to them and tries to make them happy. But it's not that you can't make them happy, it's that they're not happy with themselves. And this is why they target you, because they could see that you were happy with yourself. They could see that. And that's what they want. They want someone who's happy with themselves. And then they want to steal that from you. They want to rob you of your innocence, your joy. But this is why they just pull you in all different directions. They pull your personality inside out. They compare you to so many people, because otherwise it's like a problem with them. It's like, you imagine the process that goes on in their minds. It's like, why can't they be happy with you? Why do they have to change you? Why can't they just let you be you? Instead of pulling the strings like you're a puppet, controlling you, and it's because they know that they're not going to be happy with you anyway. They can't be happy with you. Because for them to be happy with you, they would have to be happy with themselves. And they can't be happy with themselves because they know that they don't deserve you anyway. And that's really what this comes down to. But also they do know that you deserve so much better than them, and that's why they will try to hoover you back in, or they will try to sabotage you. They just want to keep you stuck at the same level as them. Because they know that you're worthy of so much more. They know that. But yeah, that's what it comes down to, is that just keeping you stuck at their level, and so that you don't realize that you just deserve better than them. That you're worthy of so much more. And I always say this, if you invested your time, your energy, your money and resources into someone who is on the same level as you, can you just imagine where you would be now? If you were with someone who was on your level, instead of someone who was far beneath you, someone who was taken from you, leeching off you. Of course they know this. Of course at some level they recognize it. This is why they're so controlling. This is why they deflect and project and blame shift, gaslight, lie, future fake, control through criticism, create chaos, manipulate the narrative. This is why they do all of that. Because they know they're not on your level. They know that if you invested your time, your energy, your money and resources into someone who was more like you, someone who was more on your level, you would be far better off. They know they're no good for you. And that's what this comes down to. That's really it. This is why they're so insecure. This is why they're so jealous, controlling. This is why they devalue you. This is why they deflect and project. Because they're extremely insecure around you. Because they know they don't deserve to be around you. They know that. This is why they do these things. It's really sad and it's really sick. But once you realize it, all you can do is leave. all you can do is go no contact, because the longer you stay around them, they're just going to keep depleting you. You're never going to get back to the way that you were before, being around them. Because that's the whole point, is that you're superior to them. You're on a far higher level than they are. So they're never going to be able to build you back up. It's not going to result in a favorable result for you. And the only thing that's going to happen, the longer you stay around them, is they're going to keep depleting you until it gets to a point where you just go down and they're above you. And do you think they're going to have that same mindset for you? Again, they know that you're better than them. They know that you are. They're not going to be there for you. They're not going to be investing their time, energy, money, resources into you, taking care of you the way that you were taking care of them. That's never going to happen. They're never going to do that for you. And this is why the only thing you can do is leave. It's just that some people, they stay in it. They don't leave. They actually believe in this false character, thinking that this person is just like them. Thinking that they're going to put it all on the line for you. Or that they've got some special magical ability, like you had, to take care of them. And that they can do that for you. It's never going to happen. All that's going to happen is they're going to run you into the ground. And then they're going to leave you. And then they're going to find someone else, a fresh new source of supply, to do the same thing to all over again. So it doesn't matter what they're displaying to you. It doesn't matter about the lies, the future faking. They're just going to continue draining the life out of you until you've got nothing left to give. All you can do is just wake up and realize this person is a fraud. This person is a fake. They can't do anything for you. They're not on your level. They're just so insecure they can accept it, because they knew that if they were to be real with you, you wouldn't have wanted anything to do with them anyway. So all they can do is just continue with the lie, continue with the game to keep you around. And the best thing you can do for yourself is just to practice radical acceptance. Accept that they're not on your level. They're nothing like you. And they're the ones who put you in that condition. They're not going to restore you back to health, back to your original condition. They're going to continue to deplete you. So all you can do is go no contact. If you want to get better, if you want to improve your health, your happiness, your finances, the only way you're ever going to be able to do that, and the only way you're ever going to be able to heal, is if you get as far away from them as you possibly can. Because they're going to remain disordered. They're going to remain delusional, and it's not going to benefit you in any way. So I'd just like to finish off this video with that. And just know that I am available for one-on-one support, which you can book on my website. It's narcsurvivor.co.uk. I've worked with hundreds of clients around the world, and I've been making videos now since 2018, 6.5 years. So I've got a lot of experience in this. Hit the thumbs up button if you found this video helpful. Hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I go live again. Donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/narcsurvivor. And you can also follow me on my Instagram. It's Narc Survivor YouTube. Thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video, and I will talk to you soon.